Look at you, sweetness. Today we're going to speak about expectations. How high do you expect the next bull market to go for crypto? How big do you think the altcoin run will be? Where do you think Bitcoin will stop at? The crowd expects $100,000 minimum for Bitcoin. Have you considered the fact that maybe the crowd is wrong? Maybe we'll go to either 400,000 or maybe we will underwhelm everybody and stop at like 80,000. We have to be on top of the game. And to be on top of the game, we have to take advantage of cheap prices right now. So I made this interesting post on Twitter about expectations for PulseX and PulseChain. And what I've noticed is everybody wants high targets. No surprises there. I want high targets too. I would love a 100x. I would love 1000x. But here's the thing. A lot of people, they think that if PulseX and HEX don't do a 100x, then it's a failure. And I am here to tell you that is absolutely not true. So whatever the number is going to be, it is outside of our control. Just like how, I think you got to think about this. If you go back to 2020, when the zombie virus happened and before that, you did not know Bitcoin was going to stop at 50 to 60K. But what was the right thing to do? The right thing to do was to be skeptical and say, damn, I better get as much as I can just in case Euphoria signals appear earlier than I expect. Why didn't many people exit at the top in 2021? It's because they had not packed their bags enough. That's why. We all thought it was going to keep going up. Everybody thought Bitcoin was destined for 180,000. Plus, everybody thought Bitcoin was going to flip gold. That's why everybody was here. So, if you thought Bitcoin was going to flip gold, that gives a price of 500,000. So, even if you thought it's only going to hit half of gold, that's 250,000. Effectively, what you're saying is you only need 4 Bitcoin to retire. That's how people were thinking. They said we only needed 4 Bitcoin. We only need 4 BTC to retire because it's definitely going to 250K thanks to QE plus 0% rates plus negative yielding bonds, NYB. That's what people said. But why didn't anybody get out up here? Well, now you know the answer. The answer was they thought it was only going to 250K. So they only bought enough to handle a $250,000 Bitcoin. If they went 5 times more aggressive, they would be in a better spot. Sure, you're not going to play it perfectly, but you're going to at least have a higher chance of exiting than somebody who's got much smaller bags, who hope and prays for much higher. So these numbers, they're just thrown out of nowhere. I mean, I can tell you everything's doing a 1000x. Doesn't mean they're going to. It doesn't. What can you control? So don't worry about these targets. Don't worry about anything else. We got to think about what they can control. What you can control is how aggressive you are right now. That's what you can control. That's what I can control. Me and you can't do anything else. So here I am to remind you. Ethereum did a 50x in the last cycle from the bottom to the top, about $100 to about $5,000, 50x, and it's an industry success. Ethereum is still around, beautiful unicorn, pumping the whole industry. PulseChain will still do great. We just don't know how high. Everybody has very wide ranges. There are people saying 10,000x. There are people saying a 1,000x, right? When I first made my predictions, it was very FUD, 250x for Pulse. What's interesting now, when I speak to a lot of people, is they think 250x is like predatory. They think it's way too high. So it's interesting how prices are down now, we're talking about it, but 250x is a long way. It is up here. It would be a 1000x from the measurement of the low. If you did Richard Hart's like fake, the fake measurement from the bottom, okay? So let's go deeper, right? So we have a question here from Mr. JE Investments. He wants to know something. My question is this. If your logic holds up, so does Ricardo Corazon's Moonboy logic. One considers market cap and traditional valuation, and it's probably more reliable long-term, and one focuses on the volatility that's associated with your psychology and your liquidity, which breaks market cap-based models. No, think about it like this. Market cap models don't get broken just because something goes up or goes down. We are dealing with human emotions, all right? Market cap models might get broken if you can go somewhere and sit there for a year, all right? If you can find the crypto that's been able to do that, it's broken your market cap model. None of them can. It's because everybody washes in for the door like a commodity. So it's also asked, right, we're going to read the second half. Can you please do a video on the historical performances of layer 1 and DEXs in the attached image? So I already have covered this before. He says, I think it would help create a stronger frame to compare historical performance. So first of all, we're just guessing, friends. We're just completely guessing. No one knows anything. But I'll just tell you something like this. I'm going to remove PulseChain, PulseX, HEX. Every single community, every single ICO I've ever seen will go and anchor to the best. Every single one. So they're not useful. Because I've been over like 100 ICOs. I've done heaps, public ICOs, so many. I've just had my hands and fingers everywhere. And it doesn't give you anything more than hopium. So we really are just guessing, right? Now, everybody is going to focus on the Ethereum one because Ethereum in its first cycle did... Look, Ethereum's to its very, very top has done 15,500x. In its first cycle was 4,500x. Nobody went offside from the ICO. 31 cents bank never came back except one rogue exchange that just capitulated, but you don't even really count that. And what's interesting, we have the other measurements, right? Solana, Cardano, and the others. But you got to understand, the raises they did of money was much smaller. And what I did was I actually did previous posts. I compared the ratio of how high Binance, Ethereum, Cardano were versus the whole crypto market cap. And I compared PulseChain and PulseX. And what's interesting is PulseChain and PulseX aren't actually big. They're actually in the same ratio. It's very interesting. So look at this. Comparing the sacrifices of Pulse and PulseX. Ethereum was actually 6 times bigger than Pulse and PulseX. All right? From 31 cents to 4,950. So the Ethereum ICO, so what I did was, the Ethereum ICO was like $16 million. Yes, that number's tiny, 16 million. But as a function of the whole crypto industry at the time, crypto was much smaller back then. And this is the total crypto index. Have a look at this. Total crypto, I mean, back in 2015, the entire crypto was $3 billion. That's how small it was. And it's grown so much. It's actually grown up like 1,000x since. The 3 trillion. Isn't that insane? It was only 3 billion. So less capital could move it. We're much more thin. So remember, Cardano as well. Okay, so Ethereum was 6 times bigger. 6 times bigger than Pulse and PulseX relative to the whole market at the time. Cardano was 12 times bigger. Cardano was huge. And it still had great returns. It did. Binance was smaller, but by 50%. It still did a 5,200x. So these numbers are huge. However, once again, we're taking the unicorns. Like, we're forgetting all the other ones out there. So I specifically calculated the numbers here. You can even go through and check my post here. I have the actual percentages. So for example, Ethereum was 0.3% of the total crypto market cap of the entire crypto, right? PulseChain was 0.042% and PulseX was 0.049%. You can see they're much smaller. Cardano was huge. It was 0.6% its raise. So we know now Pulse and PulseX, when we're evaluating them, what's going on in the future, and we are just guessing, a lot of people say they were big, but relative to everything else, they aren't big. And now I want to show you a post which was posted before PulseChain was even close to being done. This is from January 2022. So Mr. Coffee did some great research into other layer 1 chains and provided this information. But I just want to show you, friends, what was going on near the top of crypto when everybody was euphoric. So this is what was going on. We're up to the top. So I'm not here to tell you that we've gone good or bad, but you know yourself. You be honest with yourself. When you read what's about to go on with these numbers, have your expectations been met after 2 years? It's something to think about when I show you this. So this information here, right? So we're talking about how high PulseChain can go, right? So Mr. Coffee did this research, alt layer 1's return. So this is what everybody was saying. The average return was 650x measured from the bottom to the top from the layer 1 he brought up, okay? The average duration, 1.4 years. So this is something to think about, okay? So after 1.4 years, the average return from these selected coins was 650x. So if you like, this is January 2022, friends. January 2022, because there was still so much euphoria out there. Look at what I said here. We're going to read this together. I'm going to zoom in so I can show you. I'll be conservative and assume 50x after 2 years. Me, I could smell the euphoria. This is why I'm here. I'm here as a messenger for you to tell you, like, man, everyone can throw as much numbers as they want. This is just what I'm feeling out here. So it's insane. Everyone was saying, by the way, no one was saying 650x. Everyone was saying 1000x, 1000x. There are people I know in my comment section, which is very, very funny. God bless your heart. Very vicious, very angry. Whenever any post would be below 500x estimate, they were willing to make a bet. There's one dude, forgot his name. He wanted to keep betting me that PulseChain and PulseX would be 10x within the first month of launching. Both of them. 10x higher. Do you know what we are now? You can go back and you can check, right? We can actually check. So we're down 89% lower than what he expected. And for PulseX, we are down, instead of 89%, we are down 97% from his expectations. Do you see how much these can wildly fluctuate? So this was before the release was here. This was way before. This was just everybody saying big numbers just for the sake of saying them. And baby dolls, thank you very much for pressing the like, subscribe, bell button and all. I want to show you and remind you, there is a HEX movie coming out. And it's very interesting because I've just shown you, despite all the euphoria, which you can actually see on the chart, despite all the euphoria where everybody was talking about these enormous targets, which is fine. I mean, at the top of Bitcoin, everybody was saying 100K, 500K, $1 million. All right, it happens. It's just markets, okay? But here, I could smell something was a bit wrong. I was like, well, this is way too euphoric. This doesn't turn out well for the crowd. And I've even made this video to warn you, don't be shaken out by haters, because I made this video preemptively. When the HEX movie comes out, people on Twitter are going to have a laugh. It's going to have the biggest, friendliest storm of their life, because they're going to be literally just juxtaposing everybody in this movie with a chart saying minus 99%. That's exactly what they're doing. So I'm beating them here for you. I've done their job for you to show you there's nothing to be concerned about. I've been buying in this depression zone. This doesn't faze me. They can say all these bad things as much as they want, okay? So there is a balance here. So yes, it's okay that these things are happening. This comes with the territory. If you want to go viral, you got to accept these. But there is an important lesson to learn from here. You can't watch this and then just put your head in the sand, right? You're going to see outrage marketing thrown in your face. And I know it's going to be very emotional for a lot of people, because you're going to remember 50 cents and you're going to remember this trek down. It's going to incite hatred in a lot of people, violence. You're going to be very angry, and you're going to have to think about what was the response if it didn't work out. Well, I know what people are saying out there. You're saying, well, Richard just said the old me died. This is the new me now. Like, that's it. We're moving on. Okay, so markets, they don't really entitle us to anything, okay? This is a game. This is theatrics. This is like political theater. This is everything going on, friends. This is financial entertainment. We're not owed anything, all right? This is the story. How do you play the story? You buy low, you sell high. That's it, okay? It's not buy low, sell at 1000x. It's just buy in the depression, sell in the euphoria, okay? I don't know where the euphoria is going to be. I pray that the euphoria for HEX is at $2, $3, $4, $5, but I'm packed enough so that if you guys want to start taking your pants off at 50 cents and you get too euphoric, I'm going to be very disappointed, but I'm going to be acting. You have to, man. You have to. What have you learned from the last lesson? We're literally going to watch a movie of people who disappeared in the bear market, who told you it was going higher with a strong fist. We're going to watch so many convicted people cheering for higher prices, saying it's mathematically programmed, it's mathematically designed to pump and to go up. Something you got to think about. And I have a wonderful series of questions here that people have asked me. So Not Greg has asked, I don't think Richard would accept 50x, but I'm going to share with you something, friends. Okay, look at this. In Q1, all right, so in the fourth quarter of 2021, so at the very end of the bull market, okay, so if we go back to the chart, okay, literally at the very end, right here, okay, this, I'm going to show you what was going on. So there was somebody, I got banned about 7 times, by the way, so I got banned because I think the price was 34 cents and I did not know it was a bull only channel. And I said, I think we can go down to 19 cents. So I know that sounds shocking, but I got banned. That was my first ban, one of them, for saying we could go down to 19 cents. I did not know that was such an offense back then, right? And when I got banned, someone else got banned too. It was very interesting, right? Now, someone else got banned because they suggested 9 cents, right? And that was like, whoa, okay, 9 cents. But here's the thing, okay? I remember this specifically. I got a very strong memory when it comes to this. All right. Many people were quoting that person and they literally said, Ricardo Corazon would never let HEX get down to 9 cents. That would be an embarrassment to break down below 10 cents. And there were people talking about if we ever got below 9, 5, 3, that's just ridiculous, okay? What happened? You know what happened, right? Total HEX, not EHEX, total HEX combined went down to 1.4 cents. So the market does what it's going to do. It is a collective mindset of everybody. Is one person in control all the time? Probably not. Okay. We're going to have to wrestle with this to come to terms with reality. So it's important to buy in this depression phase just in case we get thrown a curveball. I don't know if the curveball is going to get thrown. You can't rewind time when prices are higher. So I'm here to help you because when I was in 2020, I knew what to do. When I was in 2019, I knew what to do. I knew to go all in, all in, all in. I knew to do it, all right? Something within me told me. I know people now. There are people in my comments. Thank you very much for being part of my community. You're always welcome here. Your biggest regret was not getting more in 2019 and 2020. Because when 2021's number appeared, the peak, you weren't happy with it. You didn't have enough long exposure. If only you could go back in time and listen to someone, a friend like me, who wears fluffy slippers with pointy elbows and a straight back to actually tell you, you can actually change it, right? There's no point telling us at the top. I'm here to tell you now. So Mr. Kawa has asked, what if Pulse only does a 10x? I guess some would call it a success. No. So I guess Mr. Kawa is saying, well, if the number is so low, it's not a success. And here I am to tell you, man, like, look, if Bitcoins might do only a 2x, and Ethereum a 4x. I think getting a 10x is still great, right? And people are like shocked. Like, what do you mean? I'm just telling you, yield farming for 2 years and gaining on Ethereum, that's a success to me. You're beating the index, okay, with a blue chip. It's not something that you throw a lottery in, okay? So we even have some disappointment from Mr. Carl saying it's sad. But here I am. I've got to remind you, friends, like, you got to listen to this, man. I'm telling you right now, we are not entitled to anything. You just got to make the most of what the market gives you. There is an old famous saying, right? You take what the market gives you. That's where that saying comes from. All right? Not, I'm going to pray for a higher number despite all the signs. You got to prepare. I hope we get a 250K Bitcoin and we reprice the whole industry to 10 to 15 trillion. But are you prepared if we don't? So look at this. I've got to remind you, you're literally about to watch a HEX movie of all the people who went all in and showed us models of HEX going at like $10. Because of its mathematical design, okay? But instead, what we got next was a 98% drop. And it's been 2 years. So you got to learn from this. You got to be stronger, smarter, wiser, and friendlier. Remember, these same people who said everything would be great, they've disappeared into the shadows. So who's your friend here? The person who told you to buy at the top or the person who remained at the bottom? Think about that. Who's your actual friend? Who is trying to feed you vegetables here? High protein and vegetables. Who's trying to feed you soy? The pumpers. All right. So, I've got to remind you again, aggressively. I made my own phrase. Buy in the depression, sell in the euphoria. Okay. There's not even that saying out there. I made it. I've been aggressively buying. I've been telling you, buy, DCA, keep DCA buying. Okay. Doesn't matter what your ratios are, just keep getting exposure. And everyone in my community, thank you very much. Everyone is thankful because you keep buying the low. I take a lot of heat when the candles stay red. Okay, this is the linear chart. You won't believe the heat I get. Tagging. They say you're a fraud. People say you're going to regret this. You're going to financially ruin everyone. I get literally told this every single day by a bunch of copers, okay? People with curved backs, high estrogen, over and over again. It would be so much easier for me to just disappear and just be like, yeah, you know what? I'm just going to play the game myself. And in fact, I might even make more money because I get to focus more on just doing the opposite of the crowd, okay? But I love you very much. I think you deserve better. That's why you're here. You're part of my community. I look after everybody. And that's why I'm sitting here fighting those demons for you. These people are weak. They have nothing on us. I've got to remind you, even though we want the highest of prices, markets, they can be cruel, man. If you don't play the game, you get played. That's it. So I'm praying PulseX, HEX. I hope everything does a 100x. I really, really do. I hope everything climbs higher. I hope we disconnect. But just remember, man, the marketing messages from 2022, a lot of them failed. We weren't decorrelated. We got destroyed with Bitcoin and Ethereum. We went down 98%. Okay, a lot of the things, we have to learn from that. We can't say, oh, well, that didn't happen. No, you have to say to yourself, if I got my worldview wrong then, how did I get it wrong? Why did I get it wrong? Have you heard of one of the richest men in the world, Ray Dalio? I'm going to end it with this, friends. Ray Dalio has a great book called Principles, okay? Principles. I've read the book. Fantastic. I don't even read books. I want to tell you something. Ray went bankrupt in the 70s. Ray thought he knew it all. He thought he could get the market direction right. There was some sort of bankruptcy or some sort of currency thing. He thought something was going to go bad. He was overly short. And then what happened? The market did the most vicious rally out, up only. He got the whole thing wrong and he got his ID destroyed. And the fund had to close down. Now, Ray had to go and live with his parents again. He was like in his mid-30s with his wife, his newborn son, and he will never forget that. He has a chapter in his book dedicated to this. So he said he was humbled. Ray said, from that moment, I then knew to question, okay, no matter how sure of the future I think I am, always ask yourself, okay, how do I know I'm right? How could I be wrong? And what can I do if I'm wrong? He never asked himself those questions before, okay? Now, the good thing for me and you is that crypto is such a hyper-growth industry that me and you don't need to wait another 15 years for this to play out. Habib, this literally just happened a year ago, all right? We literally get to just smack this out of the park. We're like, okay, I learned from the past, let's go again, right? That's the best part about it for crypto. So at the end of the day, are you going to learn from what happened or are you just going to ignore it and pretend it didn't, okay? There's two types of people. Which one are you going to be, okay? Are you going to be the soy drinkers who only come out at the tops, who cheer for higher prices? Or are you going to remember who's your actual friend telling you, you know what? We're not entitled to anything and we're lucky half this stuff even works. It might be better we remain skeptical just in case things don't go our way. And it's best we buy in that depression as much as we can. And don't forget, who's your friend? Me. We're going to make it together, friends. Whether prices go negative or to the moon, tell mom and dad we still love them. It doesn't matter. We are climbing to the top. Catch you in the next one.